Hadudu is a traditional game of Bangladesh. It first originated from the Vedic period of ancient India. It is popular in South Asia and other surrounding Asia countries. It is a national sport of Bangladesh. Many Bangladeshis love this sport for being a traditional game too. People in both rural and urban places love playing this game for its competitive and fun nature. There are two major disciplines of Hadudu. Circle style comprises traditional forms of the sport that are played on a circular field outdoors, while the standard style played on a rectangular court indoors. This discipline is played in major professional leagues and international competitions.
Harudu consists of two teams and 7 members on each half of the court and 5 players on the reserve for each team for substitution. The court is usually 10 extra 13 meters. Each game is 45 minutes. During they have 20 minutes of each, and they have 5 minutes of break in the middle. Because they consist of 7 members, 6 members have to defend, and one member is for raiding. So after 20 minutes of playing, they have to change the court for after 5 minutes of break. A point is scored for each defender tagged by raid. But if the defender catches the raider before the raider reaches the line, then the defending team scores 1 point. Players are taken out of the game, but they can be revived after the opponent team scored 1 point of their own.
Hello, today I'm going to talk about Tohu. Tohu is a kind of traditional game in ancient China. This game is popular among high officials and nobles. When there are visitors at home, people often play the game when drinking after dinner. Because there is not enough space in the home, people use this game instead of archery. Now let's talk about the rules of this game. This game should be very simple. 2 people stand on two opposite sides. Put a pot in the middle side, then put on a turn. Then the 2 men took turns throwing arrows into the pot. Each person threw it 10 times. The outcome depends on who throws more arrows into the pot. The winner can make the boss drink. That always like be fun in ancient China. Thank you, that's all.
Sabir is a famous game in Egypt. Almost every man in Egypt played this game. It's a violent and contains a lot of smacking. It needs at least 4 or 5 people to play it. One person will be chosen randomly and the others will make a circle around him. He needs to cover the back of his neck and protect it. He will start the game by saying Sabir. When he says this, everyone must not move, and if he caught someone moving, he will swap with him. The goal of this game is to take the chance and smack the back of his neck without noticing you. If he caught you moving or hit him anywhere except his neck, or you start smacking him, you will swap with him.
So we're talking about the Indonesian game known as ABCD. It's a pretty popular game for school kids. You play it with hand gestures. You can play it as many as you want and as minimum of 2 people.
This is the brief overview of how the game goes. So there are a few hand sketches that you need to make. Namely, this is A, this is A, this is B, this is C, this is D, and this is X, and this is Z. When you do the hand sketches, you need to sign out the name. Like for example, this is A, so you need to shout A. If the opponents make the same hand sketches, then you can slap him in hands once. The game ends when the opponents are unable to continue the game.
In this section, I'm going to introduce backgammon, a game discovered 5,000 years ago in Mesopotamia. This game has a lot of symbols. Each player has 15 chips, totaling 30 chips. This represents the 30 days of the month. There are also 24 triangles or points on the board, representing the 24 hours of the day. The 4 quadrants symbolize the 4 seasons. Colors white and black corresponds to the good and bad thing, or night and day. Playing the game stands for day-to-day living, and the ending where both colors are split in the end of life.
It is a 2-player game, each holding 2 die. Players start on opposite quadrants called their home boards. The points are numbered for each player starting in that player's home board. The outermost point is a 24 point, which is also the opponent's 1 point. Initial arrangements of the chip are 2 on each player's 24 points, 5 on 13, 3 on 8, and 5 on 6. The objective of the game is to move all the chips into your home board and then bear them off. The first to bear all chips wins. The game starts with the roll of both dice and the player with the highest sum start. A chip may be moved only to a triangle not occupied by 2 or more opposing chips. The number on the 2 dice constitutes separate moves. The player could move 1 chip for the sum of the dice roll or move 2 chips according to the number on the die. If the player rolls both die identically, he can move chips twice the number on each die. If there is only 1 chip on a triangle, it can be hit by the other player. The player would then have to enter the chip into the game. No other move is possible. Once a player has all of the chips in his home board, he can start bearing them off by rolling a number that corresponds to the point on which the chip resides, and then removing that chip. If there is no chip on the point indicated by the roll, the player must make a legal move using a chip on a higher numbered points. If there are no legal moves, the player is permitted to remove the chip from the highest point on which one of his chip resides.
Contending is a Malaysian traditional game that is based on an ancient Roman training program. Romans train to enhance their physical abilities. Ancient Roman youth decided to copy and integrate it for their weaker bodies, and thus gives birth to the contending game. As time went on, the contending game has spread its influence throughout multiple countries, and now have different variations for each different cultures.
So we're gonna get into about the game and how to complete and play the game. Okay, first of all, there's gonna be consist of 10 squares. Player can draw on the ground like using a chalk or anything. It can consist of 1 or 2 boxes. So the rules on how to play the game is basically, if 1 box, you only can step on it with 1 leg, and the players are allowed to throw anything that can consist as their home, be used as their home. Now, the rules are, so when the players step on their home, it will be allowed, but as the enemy step on your home, it will be count as out. And the game gonna keep repeating until all the players is out, and there's only 1 winner left.
Okay, so this is a traditional game in the Maldives. The locals call it Ofar, or as it's called in English, Mankala. As you can see, there are 6 pits and 1 large pit on either side. So to start the game, each player just adds 6 stones into each of the smaller pits. The goal of the game is to get all of the stones, or at least until 1 player has less than 6 stones left. The game starts when 1 player picks up all the stones in any one of the pits, and then starts putting 1 stone into each pit in a counterclockwise direction. And as you go, you put 1 stone in your store as well, but you skip the opponent's store. If the last stone you put is in a pit with stones, you take the stones in that pit and then continue the game. If it's in your store, then you can pick any pit in your side and take all the stones from that side and continue the game. And if the last stone is in an empty pit, then you take the stones in the opposite pit to it and then put all of those stones in your store. Since it's a turn-based strategy game, if you choose carefully, you can even win in 1 round. So when 1 player has all of the pits on his side empty, then the players reset the game by putting the stones that are in their banks into their own pits. If a player has less than 6 stones for 1 pit, he just puts those stones back in the bank, and then a white stone is put in the empty pits, and those can't be used anymore. And this will continue until the 1 player has less than 6 stones left.
Hi,
The game that I will be referring to today is Kabaddi. The Kabaddi is a very it's a traditional game being played by all the in Pakistan and in Asian countries. So Kabaddi is a contact team sport which is played by 7 players on each side of the team. The objective of the game is for a single player, referred to as a raider, to go to the other side of the team and tag out as many players as possible while saying the word Kabaddi and not breathing for 30 seconds. It's a 30-second raid. And like the points are scored by the raider while the opposing team earns the point by stopping the raider. Players are taken out of the game if they're being tagged or tackled by the other side, but they're brought back by the team as each point is being scored from each side.
Alright, I'm going to be talking about hanky tennis, or as it is known, hand tennis in English. The object of this game is to stay in the game as long as possible. There are 4 positions spread out between 4 equally spaced squares. The toilet, the jack, the king and the queen. The king is the top and the toilet is the lowest one. The players enter from the toilet and work their way up to king, whereas the king serves the ball. The game is generally played with a tennis ball. So advancing in this game is when someone is out, the person behind them advances to their position. So for the toilet, they will go out of the game and someone will replace, and for the other points, they will go back to the toilet and everyone else will advance forward. The last conditions are direct, double bounce, carrying, body, and out of bounds. Direct is when you hit the ball straight into someone else's box without it bouncing in yours. A double bounce is when it bounces twice within your own box. Carrying is when you make long-term contact with the ball, which is not allowed, it's only supposed to be hit. Body is when any other part of your body makes contact with the ball. And out of bounds is if you hit it from your box to out of the bounds of the game, then you lose. And that's where you go back to toilet or out of the game.
Hey guys, I'll be talking about a popular Sri Lankan game called Kotapura, which is technically pillow fighting. Basically, it's celebrated at the start of the new year. It's a little bit more intense than your regular pillow fights. So basically, two players are sat across each other on a wooden beam, with one hand placed behind their back and the other holding the pillow. The way a player wins is by knocking the other player with the pillow while trying to maintain balance on the said beam. The loser falls onto usually a mattress or a pool of water for safety reasons, and that's about it.
Kukari Olov, national Uzbek sport. For sport competition, Kukari or Olov is similarly near all talking countries of the area. For example, Uzbek, Kazakh, Kyrgyz, and Turkmen. Kukari is the position of horsemen. It is generally held out appreciation for huge occasion or wedding toward the end of the banquet. Kukari is the battle that is led by a talented horseman to win the race with specific condition. Normally in the Kukari competition, the official toast of the center of the pitch remains of the goat loaded with the salt, which is called ulov. This cavador is squeezed by horseman's leg to saddle. Horsemen's out to race through the opponents in the pitch and be first to the convey the remains to the delegated spot. Horsemen can contend in the gatherings and separation the prize among each other. The prize can be TV, floor covering, national jacket, and some measure of money. The most deft gifted horsemen on the solid and quick-footed stallion grabs to the toasted god, and he is compensated by companions or individual villagers to shout and help him for the content till the competition line.